So, many people have been wanting me to weigh in on what's going on with Umar getting stripped of his credentials per black people harassing the institution in which he received his degrees and doctorates from some school in Pennsylvania. Um, Umar Johnson was the first modern day black man whose lectures I used to watch on YouTube. This is when, back when I first, got my enlightenment and started, wanting to do research and hear uh, black men speak, black people speak, black women as well, just black people in general speaking about, the issues and the history and the connections between the history and the current day issues. Umar Johnson was the first brother that I watched do this. He was in a bookstore or something talking about Obama and the illusion of inclusion. I think is how he worded it. And it was the first time I had seen a black man, modern day black man, sit in there and know his shit, knew what he was talking about. I watched that shit about. Two or three times in a row, just doing research with him as he's giving the documentation, looking this stuff up. Brother knew what he was talking about, and he was able to speak in a way that I could sit and listen to. And I started watching more of his videos and realized that his focus, and you learn more about somebody, realize his focus was about these kids and being funneled into the school to prison pipeline, as well as being labeled as being mentally retarded or suffering from what they call ADHD. Which he, kind of basically calls it no daddy at home disorder or something to that effect, basically saying, well, if there was a father in the house, um, then this ADHD issue that people talk about would be a non-issue. And actually, years later, the white man who invented ADHD said it was a ruse. It was false to push pharmaceutical company getting their money from putting our kids on these different prescriptions. But back to the original point. Um, I respected Umar Johnson because I felt that he wasn't giving out false information, and that to me that means a lot, and I've seen that in these last years here, last I want to say since about maybe 2014, 15, there has been a lot of would be scandal involving Umar Johnson. They did the would be conscious stripper. He got caught up in the game with her, and she said that he was stealing money from his school foundation because that brother started talking about opening up a school for black children, all black curriculum, natural hair coming to his school and stuff like that. So, he started wanting to take up money for this, and he started getting a lot of money. And, at this point, this is when all this stuff starts happening, where people calling him a fake doctor and saying he's stealing money and then the conscious stripper. And then people, some people have personal issues with Dr. Umar as well, as per him being what they call arrogant, him people saying he's a narcissist. I mean, I do listen to the brother speak in third person these days, and it's a little odd. I watched a video of him actually talking about, I think he went live, he was talking about, them coming January 8th, he has to go to trial. And I don't know the process of being stripped of credentials. I didn't think you could be stripped of credentials. I know that you can possibly not be able to recertify, because I know if you have credentials, you have to recertify. But I've never heard of somebody being stripped of credentials or even being put on trial as such. And I still don't know anything about that right now. I mean, I don't know what's going to come of this. I would hope that, regardless of whatever they do, that he will continue to go forward. I know he made a Facebook post on his page the other day that kind of said, talking about coons calling up there, harassing him, people that have problems with some of the talking points that he has, and particularly homosexuals and people who date interracially have really, really serious problems with Umar, because he does not support homosexuality. He does not support this new age feminist movement, and he also does not support interracial dating in any type of way. He has garnered, or he has, I ain't gonna say garnered, um, but he has gained the respect of many people as well as gained the hatred of many people at the same time. And if you're doing this, that's what you're going to go through. I go through it. I'm sure not on the magnitude or level that Umar Johnson goes through it, with him having a much huger following, and him being more exposed than I am. He goes through it at a level that I don't even, I wouldn't even be able to understand. But I do go through it, and I understand that it can be discouraging to know that that black people are going to be your biggest opponents, no matter what it is that you're trying to liberate your people. Black people still will be your biggest opponents, regardless. And I think that in itself is disheartening. And that's not even speaking from Umar Johnson's perspective. That's speaking from my own perspective, as to me doing this for this long, and not even being a long time. I think I listened to him say he's been doing it for 20 fucking years. I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years. So I haven't had, my feet in the game as long as he has. But I do know of that aspect, that you are going to be dealing with hating ass black people all the time. And then him with taking money from people, getting donations for the school, and not providing the business plan or the model for the school. People are having an issue with that. And if it was me, I mean, if knowing black people, he'd have came out better pushing some type of religion and just taking tithes or offerings, which is what pastors do. This is how pastors pimp black people, and black people don't seem to mind being robbed as long as tithes and offerings is put into the equation, as per calling it robbery. Just say black people are giving tithes and offerings, and they're fine with that, and they have been fine with that now for decades. Giving to the black church, who has done nothing but continue to indoctrinate our people, to continue to rob people of money so they can live lavishly. That doesn't bother black people, because they're using scripture to justify them bawling in your motherfucking face, them stunting in your face, them having these huge cathedrals that they're calling churches. This justifies that behavior. Umar Johnson would have come out better picking up a fucking Bible, going into a church and just having a congregation, and then kind of got his black school jumped off of that. That would have been the better plan for Umar, using some form of religion, even using Islam, even because these guys who that's still a form of religion, and those people still getting paid. So he could have just used a religion, but he didn't do that. Black people are comfortable with religion. He came out here and did it differently. He didn't do it that way. He didn't walk that lane. So people been on his ass. People been taking donations or sending him donations, and they've been on his ass. And I'm not saying that's not justifiable. I'm just I still have to look at the hypocrisy of black people, because we don't bring to task or hold anybody else's feet to the fire at all. But here Umar is out here, and people are calling his institution, harassing his institution to verify his credentials. And you can't take away credentials that you don't have initially. He's kind of come out here and had his credentials questioned multiple occasions, and had to defend himself on multiple occasions and tell what schools he got his doctorates from, his degrees from, and him having to always do that. And I don't see white people sitting on doing any interviews with other white people where they're talking about or questioning their credentials. I mean, you can be Doctor who the fuck ever, Dr. Phil even, ain't nobody sitting him down like, yo, where the fuck you go to school, man? The shit you be saying, nah, I don't really know about it, but where did you go to school? Nobody's treating him like that. White people not treating each other like that. That's why they run around here. And if you want to talk about fraudulent practices, white people started fraudulent practice. They started stealing money. They originated this shit, and they're not the ones being questioned about it. It's black folk questioning other black folk about it, and then trying to, I mean, I understand questioning, but they're trying to call his institution to prove whether he's a doctor or not. The man knows what he's talking about when he stands up there to speak, regardless. And there ain't he's not a doctor in would be African American studies, or a doctor in African studies, or because that would have been through a white institution anyway, 9 times out of 10. And I don't have to be a doctor for me to go read some fucking books and connect some dots. The fact that we believe that you have to be a doctor to do that, or you have to have doctor in front of your name to do that, that just shows our mentality is very seriously flawed. We could all be quote unquote doctors, per just getting the information. So I really didn't get caught up on him being a real doctor, as some people want to say, or does he really have his doctor's degrees? I never gave a fuck what he had. I didn't give a fuck when he got caught up with the conscious stripper. I didn't care about any of this stuff. As long as he keep putting out true information, providing his phone number to mothers and fathers out here who want to have their children evaluated. I think that's big in itself. I mean, the fact that he has saved up $400,000, to me, he could have gotten that money just off of helping black children alone, not even with the whole, him trying to build a school. To me, he's been worth that. 20 years in the game. He's been worth that to the black community. You know what I'm saying? But as you flip this thing over, and again, I have to look at things on both sides. There is a little shadiness to a lot of this, and a shadiness to some of his practices. He's not as transparent as people would like him to be, but that wouldn't make me be like, man, fuck that dude, or I'm gonna try, I might mentally say fuck that dude, but I'm not gonna fucking call nobody. I can't imagine the mind of a person that's going to do that. Call an institution to see if he got his fucking doctor's degree. I'm not going to do that. And apparently he has his GoFundMe page, where he was collecting the money up for the school. It's been suspended, as well. He talked about that as well. But I'm just like, I'm not about to call nobody. I ain't writing nobody about I couldn't imagine doing that, and I'm not doing that to, we have representatives in our states that we don't call or write about out here passing laws that affects you as a black person. You're not calling nobody about them. You're not writing nobody about them. You're not even fucking talking about them at all. And these are white folk that are controlling the laws in your state. But you want to call about Umar Johnson and whether or not he is a real doctor. Now, like this doesn't make any sense. And black people, we need to see this and understand the type of people that we're being, and we're showing that we are. And to me, it's very, very, very ass backwards that this is who we expose as who we are. Black people got some very serious issues. My biggest opponent shouldn't be black people. Umar Johnson's biggest opponent shouldn't be black people. Um, Anybody who does this work, it doesn't matter to me who it is. Their biggest opponent shouldn't be black people unless they're outright blatantly, out here cooning, calling for the destruction of black people as a black person. Then I could understand that. But I haven't seen anything like that from Umar Johnson. And some of you follow him a lot more closely than I do. I did go see him speak here in Charlotte, North Carolina, a few years back, and got took a picture with him and everything. I wasn't no fanboy shit like Umar, it's me. I didn't do no shit like that, because that's just lame as fuck to me. I just took a picture with him. He didn't know who I was or anything like that, or what I did, or and I wouldn't expect him to, like, who the fuck am I? But I went and saw him speak some years back, and he's a good speaker. He's a good speaker. He provides knowledge and information, and to me, anybody doing that is just, I'm not about to call nobody about them. I'm not about to call nobody about them at all. And I don't see how people did him like that. But what he has done is, one, he called for quitting 1 second, and the next second he done spoke to the ancestors. I do think he a little extra sometimes, and go down his whole family tree, and Frederick Douglass is his kinfolk and all this. He done did all of that. Now he's back to, he's not giving up, because if everybody else can take it, and that's something I've always said. If I'm gonna let trolls get to me and make me give up, or black people's ignorance make me give up, then what the fuck am I saying to the greats that actually did this shit, standing on soapboxes, out there having dogs, hoses put on them, police beating on them at demonstrations, having assassinations, successful ones, assassination attempts on their lives. Like, if I can't handle trolls, black or white trolls, if I can't handle trolls, if I can't handle scrutiny from black folk, then I don't need to be doing this shit anyway, because it's just the all of the greats have dealt with that. That's just, and if you're going to be great, you're going to get in line and take your persecution, and continue to go through the persecution to liberate the mind of your people. That's just a part of the game to me. And I can take it. That, to me, that I look at it like, well, I know my people are fucking suffering. I know we have some very serious mental issues as to being against each other, not loving each other, and not seeing love when we look at each other, not worshiping each other, because we too busy running around worshiping white Jesus and giving our money to these fucking pastors with no question. No, the congregation doesn't turn on the pastor for stealing or anything like that. They can have shows on TV about how these pastors ball. I think it was the preachers of it, L.A. or some Atlanta or some shit. It was preachers of something. They're showing these lavish lives of these pastors. Nobody has a problem with that. That's fine. It's called prosperity, if you will. Um, Nobody has a problem with that. So I have to understand that this is the type of people I'm dealing with. And I do understand that. And so I don't let it frustrate me as much. It still frustrates me, but I have to try to understand what type of people I'm dealing with. I think Umar jumped out here real quick, talked about him giving up. This is his last tour and all this shit. And he turns around talking about, well, no, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep moving forward, which is where he should have been standing in the first place. This is what he should have been doing in the first place, is standing instead of backing down because some coons. And shame on black people for calling up there doing that. Um, but you don't back down. You don't let coons beat you out here, especially considering, the type of work that our ancestors did to free our people, whether it was their mind or body. You can't do that because this fails in comparison to what some of the greats went through to liberate black people. But as far as Umar is concerned, I've seen a lot of people talking about they stand with Umar. I'm just going to stand with the truth, period, here in this situation. I support Brother Umar. I can't say I stand with him because if it comes out and the motherfucker been stealing money or, the motherfucker has been fraudulent, then that's going to be something that has to be dealt with. And I think that if you're going to be doing this, and this is my advice to anyone that's going to be doing this, don't make yourself into anything. Just be a person. I think that is the best way. Don't try to be a flawless person. Don't try to be a perfect person. Just be a person. The reason that you're not going to see a whole lot of scandals and people calling me out is because I'm just a person. I don't get on here on a fucking soapbox or try to act like I'm better than people or one time Umar even talking about him being abstinent. It's just like I'm not doing all that. I'm on here. I'm a normal person here to tell a story, here to try to wake people up, and that's it. I'm not trying to be greater than anything or nothing like that, greater than the people. I am the people, and I think that a lot of times these guys don't realize that they are the people. They want to, hang their hats on him. He talking about he the prince of this and, and all the stuff he be talking about. He should just come out and be a normal person. I think that he would deal with a lot less flack. He should have came out and been a goddamn Baptist preacher of some kind. He would have got a lot less flack for taking y'all's money or whatever. I'm not saying he's taking the money, but whatever's happening with the money, black people wouldn't have been asking goddamn questions if you just said it was for the building fund. The fact that you said it was for a church fund is what, not a church fund. The fact that you said it was for a school is where you fucked up at. You could just say something vague like the building fund in church, and people will give you all their goddamn money with no question. That's the kind of people you're dealing with, Umar. So you need to understand that. And you need to, I'm sure you do because you're a smart brother. I'm sure you understand that. And for everybody out here, just, if you don't fuck with Umar, I mean, I get that people don't fuck with him. I'm not telling people to fuck with somebody they don't fuck with. Um, but I think that, the brother is at least a genuine brother. And I think that he does have the best interests of these children, our children, in his mind and his heart, which is why he actually does, do those counseling sessions with parents and figure out what's going on with their kids as opposed to the school trying to say that they're retarded. And, I think that that work that he does in itself has been worth the 400K, if not more than that, because you have pastors out here who are making millions per Sunday and they ain't doing shit. They're not doing anything. They're not liberating the people. They're not doing a goddamn thing at all. And they making millions a week. This man been collecting up for now 3 years and he got $400,000. So that's all the fuck I want to say, man. Hold your head, Umar. And if you're gonna be out here, you're gonna be faced with this, but just hold your head, man. Hold your head and come through here and just I think you should really just chill and just be a regular person, be a regular man. All this other shit you be on, Prince of this and all this shit. I think you need to chill with all that and just be a regular dude, a regular flawed dude at that. Um, I think you'd be much better off and wouldn't have to deal with as much scandal. And even if they do let you keep your credentials, I wouldn't even call yourself a doctor, anybody, or anything like that. Or I wouldn't tout the fact that I'm a doctor. If I'm going to say it, I think you should just be Umar Johnson. That's it. Just be Umar Johnson, especially considering that we say that this white establishment, their doctorates, their degrees don't really fucking matter anyway. Um, just be Umar Johnson. Malcolm X was just Malcolm X, you know. Stokely Carmichael was just Stokely Carmichael. So, you know, you can just be Umar Johnson and show love and help the people as you see fit. So that's all the fuck I want to say. Y'all comment if you feel the need to comment. Um, Let me know what's on y'all's mind, how y'all feeling about this whole situation. Um, that's all the fuck I want to say. I'm out.